I go under this puddle. The goggles go round my neck and around my chin.
Just annoying me, right? So I remember I just started talking in a Canadian accent.
Bit of unexpected collision to have at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning or Saturday morning.
What's up, everyone? I'm Dean Wilson, and welcome to Against The Rut podcast with Tommy Searle, Billy Bolt. We're on episode 9, almost to double digits. Yeah, we've got a good one today. We've got some fans asking questions. We've done this previously, and we've got more juicy questions coming. So that's coming up. But what's happening, boys? How's things?
You sound like you've been up all night popping bottles.
You can hear from my voice. I've had a few. We've been having a good crack. So yeah, the voice is
like
gone
it. Well deserved, I'm sure.
AC/DC last night, which was epic. Like seeing the old boys still go. 78, I think the lead singer is. Oh, it was mega. It was really cool. So yeah, good weekend. But anyways, what are you boys doing?
That's really good, Dean. No, it's nice. See you winning still. It's actually nice, isn't it? Were you happy with that?
And he's still in the Premier class. He hasn't even dropped back down to a T50 yet.
I haven't even had the sandbag yet.
No. Would that come or not? Or do you just think 450 is
you see how big I am? That not work out for me. But no, it was a good weekend for me. Won both mains, one heat. It was long though, because the last round they collaborated with the V8 Supercars, which is the biggest car racing in Australia. Really cool. Got a ride in one of those and pretty sweet. But anyways, so like Thursday we had press day, Friday we had practice, and we're supposed to have qualifying in a heat race. Poured down raining. They cancelled the rest of the day. And then we had race day on Saturday. But yeah, all went well, all went to plan. Only lost 2 mains to the Lawrence boys out the whole thing. I won 8 out of 10. So it was good. No complaints. Happy. I don't think I could have done any better in the series. Yeah, happy with it. It's good. Good to still win in it. Yeah, actually I seen you having a good crack on the trials bikes, hitting that gap jump.
The gap that I hit is not as impressive.
Hit the gap. I think you hit that gap in like 8th
That's
year.
an Enduro bike, that Dean. Just to put that out there.
What was it?
Yeah, the gap. Go on, Bill. What did you say?
I said that's an Enduro bike, not a trials bike. I'll stop.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
That gap I made look a lot harder than what it actually is. If you watch my Instagram video, you'll think, oh my God, he's just jumped the Grand Canyon. In reality, your average Enduro man jumps that on his Sunday ride out. But I don't know how I made it look so hard. But I did go Enduro riding. That was on Friday. Took the little one out on Sunday, little grass
barely made that gap jump. You couldn't have made it
I
any
said
closer.
to him, 3 feet shorter, he's going to know about it there. Yeah. Especially being so steep, because it would have just...
It really jarred my lower back. At first I thought, I've got a bad back anyway, and at first I thought it's fixed it. I thought it's been jammed up, and I thought that's just put it back where I needed it to be since my Abu Dhabi crash.
Yeah.
But now we carried on riding after, then it stiffened up, realised it hasn't fixed it, and I'm back to physio in an hour's time after this is finished. But no, I actually really enjoyed the day out. I got a new Triumph. It's actually my own bike this time. Bone stock. It had 0.000 hours and minutes on the clock when I took it out. Really enjoyed it. Billy Askew came. My new teammate came. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but I think it will be released then. So we had a good day.
You have a new teammate?
Yes. But I think this will be out. This isn't coming out until Wednesday or Thursday or next week. So Ben Watson's on our team, which is nice to have 3 British riders.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And then I think it's nice just having a British team with 3 British riders, because they can take the other 2 to GPs. I'm not going anywhere near any. It's nice. British team supporting the British riders, which is what we need in the UK to get them on that world stage at the top. So all good. What about you, Bill? You're back in Spain?
Yeah, came back from South Africa midweek, had a few days chill because we got Indo Championship. SuperEnduro starts already in 2 weeks' time. So obviously it's like a bit of a balance to go mad and cram in loads of training and then burn yourself out in the short space of 2 weeks. Realistically, you're not going to do or gain a massive amount in 2 weeks. So kind of few days chill, and then rode a little bit of motocross yesterday, and then start again from SuperEnduro today, tomorrow, and a couple of more times this week. But yeah, not a busy week really by my standards. Travel and then a few days at home doing nothing. Because the way my life works, I'm kind of here, there and everywhere. And there's a baby on its way next year. We kind of have to take the chances we get in each country to prep for when we're going to be in that country. It's like we're getting stuff ready now for like the middle of next year. which is a bit mad, but this is kind of the way my life operates. But thankfully, Roxy seems to know what we need and where we need it. So I'm just kind of swiping the card and driving where I'm told to. But fun, not too much motorbike related, but exciting
So you've
life.
actually like a bit of growing up then, basically. You've
Bit,
actually
yeah,
got planned something.
trying to plan a little bit. I've been trying, although moderately unsuccessfully, to make my life more logistically easy. Or the stars are slowly aligning. Like my plans throughout the year are slowly coming into place. So, like I say, I kind of took this week in between seasons to plan ahead. Then, as of today, really, SuperEnduro grind starts back on the 350. Excited for that, really. I quite like the contrast in my years from like outdoor to indoor. It's quite a big difference. But outdoors, it's kind of like anything goes, really. You never know what's going to happen. One day you're racing for 2 hours, the next day you're racing for 5 hours. Whereas indoor, you can be a bit more like regimented and you kind of know what you need to do. You just need to be able to last 7 minutes, maximum effort, and survive. So all systems go.
All right, and as Dean said, this episode is community questions. Bill, what questions you got for us?
Apologies if I offended anyone last time, or I do this time. It's probably going to happen. But in fact, I'm not even going to bother with names because this first one I can't pronounce. So, what is your favourite training drill and why?
Okay, I can fire away with this one. I like a training drill.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually sat in my gym now, and I quite like the ski erg. So if it's like it's not a drill as such, but it's training. So I'm looking at the ski erg now. That's kind of my go-to thing. I feel like it gets your arms going, it gets your legs going, and it even your core. So it does everything. So if there's a training machine that I would have at home, and it's one, and I could only have one, it would be the ski erg. But on bike, I like trying to keep my feet up through the ruts. Not always just feet up, but be clean through my turns. It's something that I always start the day off trying to do, somewhat slowing down a little bit as the day starts and then building into my day. I think it's something that getting a little bit older, I focus on more because I find that if I can be smooth, then I can be fast. When I was younger, obviously you can go fast, you can hang it out a little bit and make things happen. But as you get older, sort of your speed has to come from feeling good on the bike. You can probably relate to that, Dean. So I try and build into the day. And I say this on my coaching days as well. You're better off trying to set the tone for the day early on, building into it a little bit slowly, getting off the brakes, keeping your feet up and being smooth mainly through the corners. If you can get through the turns without dabbing your feet, dragging your legs, everything just feels a lot better. So in short, trying to be smoother in my corners and clean. Dean, can you
Brilliant.
relate to that one?
Yeah, sure can. You said ski erg. It's fun to do relays on the ski erg if you have like a teammate to do. I don't even know what kind of K you would do on that, 10K or something. Did that take long?
10K is quite far. 10K is what, 40 minutes? So no, you're not doing 10K.
Well, yeah, but if you have a teammate and you're relaying it, right? And do like 5.
Oh yeah, if you got a friend, yeah. I haven't really
That's
got a friend.
Those are fun, but what I do mostly is just I like to mountain bike. I think that's really good, climbing up the mountains. Took you mountain biking that time, remember that? In California?
I do, yeah. Where was that, Ran Maria?
Yeah, Greer Ranch.
I
Greer
do
Ranch.
actually. Just
Up
come
by your
back
old
to me now. I
house.
remember meeting at that bottom fuel station. What year would have that been?
I think that was like 2015 or something.
Was
You're
we
in
friends
Cali.
then, like good friends or not? Yeah, we must have just
Well.
started being good friends then. That was probably the last time I come to America then.
But anyways, so I like the mountain bike or just cycling in general. It's easy on my injuries. I can't run. So a lot that I can't do. So that's something I can do. And I do enjoy it. Yeah. So that's off the bike. On the bike, I think growing up, the most beneficial thing that I ever did was figure eights. And I pounded the figure eights, feet on the pegs, and then normal, and then standing up. And then I'd also do like probably like 30 minutes worth of stand-up drills where I'd just stand up, get the back strong. And so those were
Stand-up gets the back good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say those are the funnest, but definitely the most beneficial for sure.
Hey,
What about you, Bell? Bell's got real good skills when it comes to all that stuff. That's where I
do quite a lot of stand-up stuff.
I love
on
watching you
SuperEnduro.
in the indoor stuff, like because that's where I feel like you can really put all that technique to,
You
put
have
it
a
on the
nice
track.
mix. You can obviously be techie and move out the way
Yeah.
and change lines, and obviously there's certain sections where if you just want to lock in and power through, you can also get away with doing that a lot of the time as well. So
just from riding at the weekend a bit of enduro, I tend to, anything gets hard, sit down and pin it. And then it gave me what I just thought when you guys do it, and I watch the good guys, how you stand up and move your weight towards the front to try and obviously keep the front down, but get the back. I don't know how you do it, but anyway, you push your knees forward a lot to get the drive, whereas I
Yeah, I
just
know
sat
what
on the
you
back
mean.
of the bike,
Kind of like the
go up
hump
the
in
hill.
the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, like almost,
I've
like
seen the
hump
video of
start.
you going up the hill on the rocks, Tom. You're just flat out, wheels spinning.
I know, but then when he does that, he'll be standing up and moving around, but that takes a lot of.
I feel like it's hard because in enduro, a lot of the technique is very, very situational. Like it could be like you could do something, it could be like almost the same obstacle or the same hill, but there's like a very slight difference which wildly affects how you're going to ride over something. And also like every rider has their own unique way of doing it as well. Whereas I think in motocross, which is what I really enjoyed when I first started and made the transition, was like there's a lot of like fundamentals that are like, you know, like non-negotiables you kind of need to learn in order to be safe and be smooth and go fast. Enduro, especially like the hard enduro side of super enduro side of things, it's also like unique to each rider. So it is quite hard to explain and be like specific when you're trying to help someone improve, because like, for example, someone might physically, like every time they try and go over a log stood up, they might crash. So then you might as well work on a technique that allows you to go over it sat down. You know, like for me, that doesn't work. I find it easier to stand up. But if you crash every time you try and do it stood up, then sit down and learn how to be efficient doing it sat down, you know, whereas motocross is kind of like you've got to do A, B, and C before you can then progress, you know, which is, like I say, what I enjoyed a lot and still do riding motocross and stuff like that. This episode yet, guys, is obviously referred to my dream team, no doubt. Great Flow went as smoothly as ever at 98 MSD. And as a sports scientist and a huge motor fan, I'd love to know more about how you guys are out or were physically prepping and how much of that was evidence-based.
So he's talking about how we train, I guess, in this question.
Well, yeah, I guess he wants to know how much testing goes into it and then how much of the results of the testing is then dependent on your training program.
Yeah, I would say in motocross, very little is evidence-based, isn't there?
I feel like all of you do a fitness test at the start of every year. I guess it's more just to know your zones and stuff.
I don't know. Throughout my career, very little has been evidence-based. I've always had a trainer, the majority of my career, Kurt Gibbons, I trained with from when I was 15. And I feel like evidence is better for when you get older and you're having to be a bit more careful with overtraining and your recovery. But as a kid, we just used to train quite hard. And I feel like you would recover quick. And when you were only training and only riding, you got nothing else around you. You're obviously resting quite a lot before, because after you finish training, you got nothing else to do. But I didn't feel like we did the fitness test, but it wasn't all based on the results of what we did moving on from that. It was just a lot of like belief in what you were doing. And I feel with any sport, motocross, probably enduro is the same. There's not a lot of science behind it as such, like compared to if you was to go to other sports.
I think as it's so much the rider dependent, is part of it is still so big. That's why kind of you've got to kind of learn what you feel like, or understand what you're getting benefit from more than anything. I feel like, because you've also got to believe in it. Like the numbers can say what they want, but if you get on a bike and you still feel shit when you go on the track, you're not going to continue doing it, are you?
Nah,
it's just all feel, really, because people wouldn't even believe the stuff that I see when I ride with the Lawrence brothers or Jet and that at the compact. He's just like literally drinking Red Bulls in between sessions, just being a kid, because he just like has such a good feel and he like believes in his fitness, and he's obviously still a kid. Yeah, it's not down to a T, you know what I mean? Obviously he's got a locked in program, but it's not as regimented as what people think.
I've seen some people go wildly off on tangents and stuff like that, when realistically, like you say, the riding part makes up so much.
Yeah.
Like as long as, you know, you have a good base, and I've been through phases. I guess it also depends if you come back from an injury, or if you're like, most of the time, a lot of us are working through some kind of injury. So that's going to kind of tailor. I guess that would be slightly more evidence-based, because you know that there's a specific injury you're kind of working around or building up strength. But I don't know. I guess none of us really have good examples of what other sports do and stuff like that. So probably not the best.
No, when I trained at Loughborough University, I done a year there, and they was very structured. And obviously you've got all this, like the Olympic base for the UK team. And the programs there are very structured of what they set out for people from the outside, whether being inside that sport, they think the same as us, that their sport's not as structured as other sports. But looking in, it was pretty structured. But I wouldn't feel like theirs is all about rider or like the feel that we have, because if we don't feel good, like you just mentioned, it's game over. Like you've got arm pumping in minutes, and then it don't matter how fit you are. I always say to myself, I'd much rather be healthy and feel good than be fit.
Yeah. The other thing is as well, like there's so many additional variables for us, whether it be like the track or even, like the travel. Like we might plan to go, and especially in the UK, like we could plan to go ride 3 days this week, and then all of a sudden the weather's for a full week. So then you've got to kind of cram in more riding the next week. So like if you are like locked into this super regimented training program that would have like no flexibility, it just becomes, I think, too difficult. And as you find yourself compensating somewhere else to try and stick with it.
Do you do
You
fitness
agree, Tom?
tests, Dean, nowadays or not? I haven't ever spoke to you about doing an actual fitness test.
I haven't done a fitness test in a few years. Usually we always just did it for zones,
Yeah.
I do a lot of zone 2 training. A lot of cardio is zone 2. Obviously all riding's pretty much zone 5. But yeah, I haven't done a fitness test in a long time because I feel like I'm in a good spot now, and like I know my body. I've been doing it for a long time, just like yourself. Just don't really think there's a need to at this point, because it depends on if it's just something on a spin bike, I can do it. But if it's another fitness test where I don't know what it is, you're doing burpees and that, I can't even do a burpee. My knee's that bad of shape,
No, but then you hit the nail on the head. Then you don't feel like you need to do a fitness test because you feel good. That's it. You don't even want to see the results, because then if they come back a bit like below
Yeah, it
where
don't
you be
matter,
like, oh no,
exactly.
I don't feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the maddest way you've seen someone fix up their bike at a race? I'm thinking zip ties, duct tape, or super glue. Well, I think you two are going to have seen too much in your
Well,
sheltered
I've
motocross
seen.
lives.
Yeah, well, with that question, my dad actually had some. Actually, you know what? When I was on a 2-stroke this one time, and my pipe fell off, my silencer fell off, and I was on a 125, and I knew this guy from Brazil, and his mechanic got a piece of like metal, wrapped it around the silencer, drilled a hole in it, and then just drilled it into the thing. And I just had this bracket, like, made up bracket on my bike. And I got through the day all day with it, but it was actually like quite nifty how he just like built that. But my dad's also done some dodgy things when I was younger. Duct tape, wood screws, the whole lot. But none that I can exactly remember.
No, my dad, very similar. I never had good bikes, not through lack of effort in any way, shape or form, but just the way Dad would put my bikes together. Everything would be a bodge. He was a builder, so he would just take it into his own hands. It wouldn't matter what's the right way to do it, what's the wrong way to do it. The engine bolts wouldn't be in. I didn't even used to have what's the thing that goes through the forks? Like, I'm not as thick as I'm making out right here, but anyway, it goes through like the fork stem. You have that big, like 25 mil bolt on the top. Well, he didn't even used to have that on. He was like, well, it's being held on by the clamps. So I didn't used to have that on. I remember him always chopping up the oil bottle, like a bottle of old oil, Motorex oil, to be like the chain guard, so our fingers didn't go in the chain. I think that was a thing back then. It's not now. I think bikes come with a chain guide, but back then they didn't. So he'd have like a Motorex oil can that was the rear to stop my fingers going in the rear, a Motorex thing to stop my fingers going in the front. So my dad would bodge everything on the bike up.
I used to also break the seat brackets all the time on my 65 and 80. Like, you remember like where you put the bolts, the seat brackets? They would always snap off. So then Dad would just duct tape over the top, like from the side panels and over. There's so much. My dad was same as yours. But you know what? At the end of the day, it would work.
Yeah, we
I
used
had
to get
like
good
the opposite
days.
end of the scale. Like my dad was an engineer, but he would be like notorious around the trials paddock. If something needs fixed, just take it to my van. So like
So your dad was Einstein, is what you're saying.
We would go to, pretty much. Like the bodges he's done, we would go to like a world junior trials championship, like, and the welder would be the first thing he'd put in the van, because like frames used to break on trials bikes all the time. So like the amount of other riders who's welded the frames back together like the night before, a race or
That's
whatever.
funny.
It was good. I remember one when I first started Enduro, did a British sprint and my subframe snapped. The old, like 2015 style KTM, it had a metal subframe and it snapped, and he put a brake pad and then drilled and tapped either side of it and put a screw. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I'll find it. That was a nice little in between tests. So like within the space of like 2 or 3 minutes, just whip this brake pad to hold a subframe together. Quite a nice one.
One story I got from my dad. This is how much this is how little attention he paid. We got an engine tuned and new. So it wasn't through like lack of spending money. Anyway, I've gone to Brampton. You might remember,
Yeah,
Dean. It was
Brampton.
sort of up Scotland way. And I've gone out for practice. I'm ripping around the track. Like, I've pulled into the pits mid-qualifying. He said, how's the engine? And I've said, good. Feels really fast. 2 laps later anyway, the engine comes to a stop. And he didn't put an air filter in, so it just sucked all the sand from this track in and just blew this brand new engine that had just got tuned up just through no filter, bless him.
Oh,
That was it. Engine in the bin.
Worst track conditions you've ever raced in?
Puig, 2008, absolutely mental. I come up the start straight. I've got the whole shot. I'm out front. Anyway, aquaplane.
And this one we crash.
What?
Is this the one where you crash in front of everybody?
Yeah, aquaplane. The whole bike goes sideways. I go under this puddle. The goggles go around my neck and around my chin. Like, they're not even in my helmet. The water takes them over the front here and over the back, and they're around my neck. And I'm just this like I'm just like a hippo in this mud, buried, and all the bikes are like bumping over me because no one can see through their goggles. Everyone will be blind at this point, and I'm just buried in this mud.
I remember watching that one.
Yeah, by far the worst conditions that I have raced in. Yeah, I think we've done 2 races, or I think we did get through, and they cancelled the second MX1 one, but it got red flagged with a few laps to go and got back lapped. I went underwater on the start, got run over, then took my gloves off because I'd crashed again later in that lap. Pit stop for new gloves, new goggles, and I think I got back to 5th place because everyone was just stuck on hill. So yeah, absolute mud fest. Puig, 2008, if you'd like to look it up.
I think mine's gotta be San Francisco Supercross. You remember watching that one last year? What was
Oh
some
yeah,
points
Do
from
you reckon that was the worst ever?
Man, that was bad. Dude, I was on the start line and the rain was coming down so heavy. It was just coming in sideways. And like, the ruts, like the whole track was like, it was just gnarly. It couldn't be any muddier. I mean,
Did you finish?
yeah, but I guess we weren't at points where we're getting stuck, but like, it was just the gnarliest conditions I've ever ridden.
Bill, you racing mad
Doesn't
conditions
really
every
apply
week.
to me. We race through building sites and all sorts, so it doesn't really.
Wetter the better, do you reckon, or not?
I mean, it depends. I do like a mudder, but I don't love being wet. It depends how long the race is. If it's like 6 hours, it's kind of, you get a bit over being wet. If it's 2 hours.
Yours I find aren't like mud because it's never normally that nice and dirt anyway. So it's like rocky, and then the mud don't really. Sometimes a bit of wet makes it grippier, I suppose, in some sections.
Yeah, but it also varies so much. Like a wet field isn't good. Like just
it's
wet
like
grass.
that soggy
where
the bike just sinks.
British Enduro Championship, like classic time card Enduro, like faster race. My first year, 2016, was that at the time I was getting some like good results in hard enduro races, and I was like finished 5th at Erzberg my first year. Like I thought I was fantastic. So everyone's like, "Oh, go and do this. This is a really good 3-day race in Wales at Radar, actually." And everyone's like, "Oh, this would be good. Great event, like organised really good. You'll enjoy it." And it was anyway. One of the tests, the special test, was just on wet grass, and I'd never rid on grass before. And my God, I'd crash like 5-6 times a test. I was getting beat by clubmen, like people who had entered in the clubman class, were doing faster times than us. That was a real humbling experience that day.
Eye opener.
Yeah, just
That's funny.
all over. Didn't know what they were doing. Going for you, Dean. Love your accent, but I've never heard one like it before. Where did you live growing up to pick up that accent?
The old accent, that one comes out. Well,
I
born in
respect
Glasgow,
that your
Scotland.
accent stuck.
Yeah, it's much better now. You've sort of you've picked one and you've gone with it.
Yeah. was
it that bad before? Like?
It was pretty bad. So, was born in Glasgow, Scotland. Lived there till I was 9. Moved to Canada. And see, when I moved to Canada, I would get such a hard time at school. Like, not even a hard time, but they're just like, oh, say luggage, say pencil, and then they're having a laugh, and then just annoying me, right? So I remember I just started talking in a Canadian accent, and this was when I was at school there. And then I just kind of stuck with that. And then when I would come home, I would talk normal to my mom and dad and whatever. And
So when you went
anyways, so that
to Canada, were you like full Glaswegian? You were like, there was
yeah, like
no mix
proper.
whatsoever. Because
No,
I can't even
no.
imagine that.
Yeah, I know. I can't either. But I wish I found like the old handheld VCR. We used to have some of it writing, and I'd be talking and I heard it. It was like I'm fully thick Scottish accent there. But anyways, so yeah, I left away from there I moved away from Scotland, 99, moved to Canada, left Canada, 26. I moved to California. So anyways, yeah, it's just from all over the place.
Did you move to California
It's just the way
purely
it
for
is.
motocross?
Yeah, which was like, man, you look back now, that was a gnarly move. Like,
Yeah.
talk about kind of chasing the dream. I got a team green ride from Kawasaki, and we didn't know like I was gonna be successful or not. You know what I mean? Like, it was truly just going for the dream. And then obviously we made it happen, which was cool. And I always remember signing my first contract. My mom was taking a picture, and it was like a dream come true for me because I've actually made this as a living, and I'm riding for my dream team. It's not like I turned pro and then I'm just signing with
Yeah.
some team I didn't want to be with. I'm signing with the team I always wanted to be with. So it's pretty cool. And for it to work out, and it was quite a journey to get there.
Why, just jump in, why did you move to Canada?
It's my dad's work, and he had previously worked in Canada with his brother. So he had a Canadian passport, and my mom and dad had a kitchen and cabinet business in Scotland, and it just got quite stressful. So we moved to Canada.
Okay. Was your dad able to carry on working in that same, or did he have to just leave that business but he just made it happen, didn't he? Whatever it took.
Right. Yep. And that's why me and my mom would always be on the road. Me and my mom and sister would be on the road going to the races. My dad would stay back and work. So quite the journey. Quite the journey.
You got two more. What is the most important skill you learned as you were growing up? What would you say is the most important thing to learn early in your career as a rider?
I can kick this one off because there's one thing that's come to mind that someone told me when I was a kid. And they always said I was really good. It's not really a skill. It was something that I was good at. And I feel like most kids can be good at this quite easily. And they just said that when I would come out of a corner and then you've got like another corner a little bit away, I was always very aggressive and would like race to every corner. Like I wouldn't just be roll from there to there. Like I would try my hardest at every little bit. So even if there's like a tiny bit of time to be made up, I would race to that next corner, and then from that one to that one, race to that one. Where you see a lot of people, like even watching Alfie now, my little boy, like at the tracks, they all just cruise around. Where someone always said that I was always very aggressive from like A to B as such. Like even the easy sections, you can go fast. So I guess that's just like always race every little bit of the track, and then at the end of the lap, that'll make up a lot of time. But it's probably not even what the question was.
I think it is.
Yeah, but it's something that
I wouldn't say it's the most
It
important.
came to mind when you asked that. I was like, well, as a kid, that's what I always done. I just raced every
I
little
feel like
bit of the track.
you probably didn't get taught to do that. I think if you're telling a kid to do that, it's not quite the same.
No, you're exactly right. It's something that I always did, and someone told me once, and I was like, well, I don't even know I do it, but it was something that I did do. And when you look at other kids, even at a very good level, they don't. Sometimes you can make up a lot of time on a very easy bit of track just by being a bit more aggressive. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's the question. Go on, Dean. What about you?
I think for me, the most important skill that I learned growing up, it's just got to be technique. I used to be a little bit like flat out bashing berms, like had a lot of speed, but like I just didn't have the quite technique factor. And then someone pulled me in and helped me and was very good for me in my career. And we just really worked on technique things. And when I really started going off the track and working on my technique is when I just feel like I really started to excel and move to that next level. And I was riding at speeds with easier pace, less energy, being efficient, and just learning how to ride, with proper technique. And, I'm sure
But
Tommy's the same, but that's what.
Do you
No,
not? Do you think there's an argument to say if you'd had that drilled into you before you had the kind of like raw speed part that you would never have added the speed part to it?
yeah, this is what I was
Yeah.
just going to say. I think when I help my little boy now, I always talk about technique because I want him to be safe, purely for a safety reason. It's not so like, okay, I want you to have this technique now, so you're going to be fast then. I think like what Dean said was very similar to me. I was a little bit wilder and would just pin it and would just race. And then you can put technique to that and make someone very good. But I think you have to have that bit of madness about you in a lot of cases than just someone that's got technique. You need more than just technique, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you do need technique. It's quite a tough balance. As a parent now, I want technique and safety, but whether that's then going to
100%.
translate to like all of a sudden him finding a bit of speed, because at the minute he don't have any speed, and I'm not worried, but whether that will translate is another thing, because I see other kids that are pinned and I just think, well, yeah, you can put technique to that, no problem. Like,
I think it has to be the right mix. The kid's got to kind of want to do it, and he's also got to want to go fast as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's finding the right combination for each person.
Like even you, when you raced motocross, Bill, even going from no skill, but you obviously wanted to be fast on a motocross bike. And just by, not that you put a lot of time into motocross, but you think a little bit more when you ride now. You quite conscious of keeping your feet on and being in the right gear and your technique when you ride. It's like you're always thinking about something when you ride motocross now. It's rarely that you're just pinning it around a track.
Yeah, I think a lot, most of the time, to be fair.
Even in Enduro? Or is it just natural in Enduro? You're just going off what's in front of me?
No, but I probably arguably should maybe think more. I have started to think more, in fact, because, again, like I used to make a lot of stupid mistakes on like parts of the track in areas where I shouldn't make mistakes. They're not like the real difficult. I would always do like the fast part's really good, and then the really hard part's really good, and then the bit in the middle would be where I'd make all my mistakes. But because they're not like, no one else is making mistakes there, the time I would lose would be a lot, because it's a part of the track where like you really shouldn't be stopping or crashing or doing something like that. So,
well, almost because you lack a bit of concentration, because it's not hard, or it's not easy.
Yeah, probably. No, maybe not concentration, just probably not even. Yeah, maybe it's concentration, or just even like trying, or like really respecting it or putting the effort in that's probably needed for that section. Like I always would like the hardest part of the track, because I could probably do something or a line that no one else could do. But like when it's just a simple like few corners and then a hill climb, I'd be like all over the place, lose my balance. You know, and that's one thing which I've tried and still is my biggest weakness. Really, I like the medium parts of the track is what I suck at.
Some things it's very hard to teach. Someone has to have a little bit about them to be that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
or like
I struggle to put answers because it's very situational depending on the person.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because everyone has to be taught this or this, but then at the same time, someone has to want to be that person and have to have such a high drive that even not being told they're doing these things, you almost have to tell people, the right rider, not to do things because they're doing it too much to be at the top.
Most heated moment you've had with another rider? We'll probably brushed on this answer for each of you at some point, but
I mean, mine always comes back to, it's not really a heated moment because we never actually had an argument. Me and Jeffrey obviously had intense battles, and but never so much a heated moment. I used to have always raced Sean Simpson, a fellow Scott to Dean, throughout my whole career. And again, we've never actually had arguments off the track, but we've always had a lot of big battles on the track. But I think I've respected all the riders enough that I never really got that heated off the track. I'm not sort of that person that wants to go nuts at someone. So it's always,
you get your ass kicked. That's why.
Yeah. Now that probably is the reason why you're not wrong. Like it's a lot easier with a helmet on than a helmet off. I don't want to get smashed.
Smart thinking, mate. Smart thinking.
What about you, Dean? Obviously yours probably Vin.
It's gotta be mate events, isn't it? It's gotta be. We've had so many run-ins, and it's the same thing every time. I just get blindsided. I don't hear him. I don't see him. Just boom. But anyways,
it hasn't been working, the start combo, like we all envisioned in the first podcast.
No, we hyped it up. We hyped it up.
Yeah, he's very low key on the start. which is very surprising. Not even the starts, have they? Not even
None
getting
of
the
them have
starts.
been getting starts or running up
No.
front. So I don't know if
No.
they've got like, do they have different
If they're
restrictions of what they
limited,
can have in the
yeah.
bike?
Maybe
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
literally just because they're now up against factory bikes. Like every other series, they've been going up against standard bikes as such, and now all of a sudden they're up against the best of the best: Ken Roxon's, Jason Anderson's, Tomac's, Webb, and all of a sudden you see it's rare that they're around that first turn first. So it could just be that they've always been in not the highest of the high series, and now they are. It isn't quite looking like we thought it would.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
What about you,
either.
Bill? Bill is one that gets very, I don't know, off the track, but on track, like, because you come to quite a lot of stops on the track in Enduro, like you're just looking at them. Once I was filming you at, I can't remember what round it was, and then you just wanted to fight someone halfway up the straight. Like you just stopped and just went like, and then just carried on again.
Bill's a bit like me. Like when the blood gets boiling, the system's hot. He's all systems are good.
There's
Better
times
lately.
I've run hot at times, but never that like specifically at someone, I don't think. Well, there is
No.
just actually Roof of Africa, me and Teo Kabachev hit each other like 10 minutes into the first day. So the actual track was the line I was going to take, which was like go around like this. And then he was going straight. But then there was a media guy stood there pointing my line, which I had assumed he's seen the guy pointing the line to it. Because that race is quite a difficult navigation race anyway. So like we spend more time off the track than on the track. So I was just assuming he'd seen the guy pointing the line, which he obviously didn't at all. And he was just kind of straight line. And that was like a bit of unexpected kind of collision to have at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning or Saturday morning. But looking back, I think I did shout at him.
There was
at
no
the time.
words exchanged from what I saw.
I beeped it out. I'd called him a few bit of bad language.
Because I was like, wow.
I'll tell you who was the absolute worst. The worst. My dad. My dad would be at Palavet track, just beefing with other guys, or make it when a pro would go on the
when he's racing, not even about you.
Yeah, no, when he's riding, and not racing, just practicing on the vet track at Pala. Like, do you know how many stories he hasn't told me, and I hear from other people? So when I rode for Pro Circuit Cowie, Mitch would give us a 450, and you just keep it at the house at all times. So if it rained, you could ride it. So my dad rode that bike all the time, had the 15 on it, Monster PC 450. So he would go to Pala vet track, and it was almost bound to happen. If someone just like rubbed him wrong in a corner, he's an angry Scotsman. He's at red. He's pulls the clutch in and revving it. And just, I'm not even there. And I don't like, my friends would tell me stuff. I'm like, Dad, did this happen at the track? He's like, nah, that didn't happen. So anyways, one day someone's like, yeah, your dad tried fighting this guy at Pala Bet track. He had your bike laid up in the middle of the track, standing, waiting for him to come back. And I'm just like, Dad, Dad, you can't be doing that. That's my bike. That's Mitchie's bike. Like, it was absolute worst. Here's the one I'll give you one last funny story with my dad. We're at Kaweah Creek, and there's this guy repping, no numbers on Yami. Peak primetime J-Law, 08, and he's at Kaweah. No numbers, nothing. And I seen him out there. So anyways, my dad doesn't know who he is. My dad's right. This guy cleans out my dad, which was J-Law. So anyways, I'm in the pits just having a sip of water. My sister comes running up to me and goes, Dean, Dad's laid his bike down. He's standing in the middle of his track with his helmet off, waiting for this guy to come around. I was like, what? So I go running. I'm running through the pits to get my dad. I'm like pulling his arm. Dad, like, chill out. This is the best part. So we got him to chill out. We got him back to the pits. You know, he's an old boy, and like, he didn't know who it was. And I knew exactly who it was. And then he's petted right across from us. J-Lo was petted right across. But that's just at the rev limiter, just mad. And J-Lo is literally sitting across, like pretty much laughing at him. And I'm just trying to distract him from like seeing this. And I never told him for like the longest time. It was so funny. He's just standing in the middle of this track with his helmet off, waiting for J-Lo to come around. And you know what? That's probably the 10 other stories that I don't know about, because he would never tell me anything, because I'd give him shit about it every time. Old Scotsman did not like someone, even if someone roasted him, terrible. But anyways,
The Scottish red mist.
yeah, off the pot. All right, guys, and that is us for our episode 9 of Against the Rut podcast. We did the community questions, and thank you everyone that sent in questions. We had a good laugh, and there's some really good ones in there. And keep them coming. So drop us a comment, a like, and subscribe, and keep watching. Episode 10 will be next week. So thank you everybody for watching. See ya.
Till a bit.